Hello everyone and welcome back to the good stuff. We are back at the 1921 World Chess Championship match between Emanuel Lasker and Raul Capablanca. We've already covered 11 games of the championship. This is game 12 and so far Capablanca is 3 points in the lead, and he also won the previous 2 games they played, so both with white and the black pieces in a row. Now let's see what Lasker can do to get back into the match and what his strategy will be. So, game 12, Lasker versus Capablanca, 1921 World Chess Championship match. Lasker opens with e4. With e5 by Capablanca, knight to f3, knight to c6, and now bishop to b5. Again, we enter the Ruy Lopez with knight to f6. Castles by Lasker and d6 now. With d4 by Lasker, bishop to d7 by Capablanca, and now knight to c3. With bishop to e7 and now rook to e1. With more defense to the e4 pawn, and now e captures on d4. We have knight captures, and here Capablanca castles. Now the main move today is just captures on c6, but Lasker tucks the bishop back for later use with bishop to f1 and now rook to e8. And it's interesting that this position has never again happened after this game was played. With f3, Lasker strengthens the center, and now bishop to f8, opening up the e-file for the rook. With bishop to g5, now pinning the knight, and h6. Capablanca pushes the bishop back with bishop to h4, and now even g6. And here with the g6, Capablanca gave Lasker a very interesting idea. Lasker played knight to d5. He decided to go after the pinned piece and prepare knight to b5 to go after the c7 pawn. But Capablanca doesn't like this idea. There was a very interesting choice of knight captures on c6, and after bishop captures just e5. And now you're unable to recapture. If you recapture, then you lose the knight on f6. For example, pawn captures. Now you just eliminate the queen, and the queen no longer defends the knight on f6. So just bishop captures on f6 wins a piece. So after e5, you would be forced to play g5, just take away this tension here, and then you get e captures, g captures, and now you have this position where Capablanca's pawn structure is all messed up. So this was one way to go about it, but Lasker tries a different line. Like we said, first knight to d5 goes after the knight here. Bishop to g7, Capablanca defends, and now again Capablanca says c3 is just the way to go for Lasker here, just keeping everything in the position. But Lasker goes knight to b5. So now the c7 pawn is under attack, but Capablanca says that the combinations that arise from this position should favor black. So he plays g5, pushes the bishop back, and now knight d captures on c7, so attacking both of the rooks. With g captures on h4, knight captures on a8, queen captures on a8, and now of course winning back the exchange. Knight to c7 by Lasker, attacking the queen and the rook. Queen goes back, queen d8, and now knight captures on e8. We have knight captures on e8, and now rook to b1. You don't want this rook on a1, as the bishop controls this very strong diagonal. Bishop to e6 by Capablanca. Lasker is up a pawn, but Capablanca has the bishop pair, and it's bishop pair is compensation enough for the pawn in this position, as there is play on both sides of the board, and it is not all that easy to defend all of those pawns on the queen side Lasker has. So here Lasker played c3, and he asked Capablanca, do you want to play a bishop captures on a2? Then I get rook to a1, I have the semi-open file for my rook, I give back the pawn, the game continues. And here Capablanca did play bishop captures on a2, but later Capablanca said that he felt that he had a winning position here, but that he should have played bishop to e5. And indeed, bishop to e5 is a very strong move, and it really threatens a lot of things. For example, if you play something like a3, just to show you the threats behind bishop to e5, you're gonna get queen g5, and now ideas like queen f4 to h2 are on the board, and white will play queen c1, offer a trade of queens. Now you'll push the queen back, bishop to f4, queen to c2, and now, for example, queen e5, and there is no defense against, the h pawn is lost. You can't push g3, otherwise the whole position just explodes, and, well, whatever you do. If you push h3, that's even worse. You're just gonna, for example, you can get a queen there, then you can start chasing the king, you can get your knight into the game, put a knight on g3. There are a lot of ways you can play this, but all in all, that's just a terrible position for white to be in. So this is what Capablanca could have played, bishop to e5, but he decided for bishop captures on a2. Now, why? It wasn't really a matter of being low on time. He wasn't low on time here, but maybe just the fact that he was already up 3 points in the match, that he just doesn't want to take any chances, give Lasker any counterplay whatsoever. He just grabs his extra pawn and says, okay, I'm still 3 points in the lead. You're the one who has to get back into this match. So rook to a1, attacking Capablanca's bishop, bishop back to e6, and now queen to d2. Capablanca goes a6, now the knight can move, as the knight no longer has to keep an eye on the pawn on a7, and now queen to f2, putting pressure on the h4 pawn. If you, for example, play a knight here, then the pawn can be captured. So h5, and now it's, again, very hard for white to actually do something here. The pawns are really annoying here, and Capablanca is about to start an attack on the king side. So with f4 by Lasker, and now comes bishop to h6, now that the h6 square has been freed for Capablanca's bishop, and now bishop to e2, going after the h5 pawn. f5 doesn't really do anything. It seems nice, but after the bishop retreats, you've just given black the e5 square, and from there the knight can be a very annoying piece. So Lasker plays bishop to e2, goes after the pawn here, and now you can't really prevent bishop captures on h5. You could play bishop g4, but it doesn't really do all that much for black. For example, if you just trade, yes, you've undoubled black's pawns, but e5, after e5, you'll get d captures, f captures, and now what do you play here? It will be difficult to keep an eye on those pawns, as, for example, after something like knight g7, queen e2, attacking the pawn, and after black defends it, now you get a rook a4, and you're gonna lose those pawns. So you're not gonna be able to use them for attack. So after bishop to e2, Capablanca saw that, yeah, bishop to g4 isn't all that great. Let's go into some trades. He played knight to f6. Now he offered the h4 pawn for the e4 pawn. And Lasker captures with queen captures on h4, knight captures on e4, queen captures on d8, knight captures, and now both bishop captures on h5 and a6 are nice, as it opens up a discovery towards the knight. Lasker chooses bishop captures on a6. So we have d5 defending the knight, and now just bishop back to e2, going after the h5 pawn. Capablanca captures on f4 with bishop captures on h5, and now bishop back to c7 by Capablanca. Lasker played rook 8 to d1 here, and it was in fact in this position on move 31 that the game was adjourned, and then the players had 24 hours to think about the position, and after they thought about the position for 24 hours, they agreed to a draw. Lasker is up a pawn here, but Capablanca has a very dangerous bishop pair. Now, if anything can happen from this position, I'm sure a lot of things can happen in this position. Of course, Lasker having 2 rooks and the bishop, whereas Capablanca has 4 pieces. It's a bit of a trade-off, but all in all, it's Capablanca with the 2 bishops, for example, bishop to b6. And if this bishop somehow assumes this diagonal, it could be very dangerous for Lasker. It's very unlikely that Lasker can push for more than a half a point here. He can just lose and go down even further in the match. Whereas Capablanca, he's very happy with the draw with the black pieces. He doesn't have to prove anything or push for anything more than a draw here. Next game he gets the white pieces, and then he will try to prove some points there. So this is game 12 of the 1921 World Chess Championship match between Emanuel Lasker and Raul Capablanca. I do hope you enjoyed it, and we're going for game 13, probably today. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I'm planning on finishing the match either today or tomorrow, and with this we will finish our entire Capablanca saga. Even though there are more games Capablanca played, a lot more games that he played after the World Chess Championship match, but we'll use those as standalone tournaments or as part of some other sagas, for example. But yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it. I would like to thank Pablo Mohan and Jeff Graves for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the Capablanca saga, and of course checking up on your awesome suggestions. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.